The Pentagon just dropped a fifth batch of UFO files. 41 new records, and for the first time, some of them are coming straight out of the executive office of the president. There's an FBI interview with a former military pilot describing a triangular object over Afghanistan so large that it blotted out the stars. There's infrared footage from an AC-130 gunship crew who watch unidentified objects moving in formation during a live fire exercise. And there's brand new footage from this year, right here in the United States. Well, we had a whole other episode planned before this dropped. So we condensed it all into quick hits, moved a deep dive into the briefing, and put the news segment on pause for a week so that we can dissect this new tranche right here tonight. Welcome back to Infinite Rabbit Hole.
Imagine that this line represents the time, present 1985, future, past. Prior to this point in time, somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985. Alternate you, me, and Einstein. Reality for everyone else.
What's up, everyone? I'm Jeremy Sosha, and you're listening to Infinite Rabbit Hole, your weekly briefing on the unexplained. Tonight, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jake and CJ. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you visit us at infiniterabbithole.com, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. One quick thing before we get into it. If you're in the Menominee, Wisconsin area, Dragon Tail Books is hosting a Meet the Author event with me this Friday, August 14th, from 4 to 8 p.m. at 216 Main Street. I'd love to see you there and sign a copy of my book, UF Elmwood, for you. Tonight's episode is going to look a little different. We had a full lineup ready to go, and then the Pentagon dropped a fifth batch of UFO files the day before we were set to record. So, we're doing quick hits and a briefing like always, but we're skipping Should We Be Worried this week, as will be the case on the weeks when these files drop. And our briefing is actually going to set up tonight's deep dive perfectly, because it turns out the two stories are connected. Jake, CJ, how are things there, gentle sirs? And are you ready for yet another drop of UFO files?
I'm very, very sunburnt, so we're living the dream one nightmare at a time.
Are you one of those guys that always have like a perpetual plumber's crack? You got that little red stripe right above your waistband? Yeah,
No.
you do. Yeah, you do. I bet you do. I bet you do. I bet you got a white ass and just a nice little red stripe right above it. No.
There's no crack, dude. No crack.
It's true. I can confirm that now.
I'm fully aware of my clothing size, and I wear appropriate sizes.
I can now confirm that CJ does not have a plumber's crack, nor does he have a red stripe.
And now y'all got a little free taste. CJ of Infinite Rabbit Hole at OnlyFans.com. Let's go.
Sweet. No crack ever. I'm not sunburnt. CJ, for being sunburnt, you look actually very good. So
It's the lighting.
it's the glow. It's the glow around your terribly burnt face.
Yeah, we were at the lake all day today, and I'm crispy. That's why I'm not wearing my glasses, because it hurts.
Yeah, fair enough.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been out for a little bit. Yesterday was me and Whitney's, well, actually the day before, but it was me and Whitney's 10th anniversary, so that was nice. Spent some time together. We would have been out this whole weekend on vacation, but Whitney decided to break her knee 2 weeks ago, so spent her anniversary laid up in bed, so I was taking care of her and everything, but yeah, I know, it was good regardless.
The audacity.
The romantic is,
I made a joke to my boss about it, and he's like, yeah, it sounds like, well, I was like, she got married in a moon boot because she had a broken foot. At 5 years, almost like on the anniversary, she broke her knee the first time, or leg rather, just below the knee. And then a couple of years later had a partial knee replacement. And then here we were a few days shy of our 10th, and then she broke her knee again. And he's like, sounds like she's trying to get out of romantic engagements. I was like, what's more romantic than laid up in bed having your husband wait on you hand and foot? And he's like, yeah, that's a fair point. I was like, sounds like the life to me, but whatever.
So
It's
is
a
it she, like,
conspiracy.
doing awesome stuff, like hold my beer levels stuff to break these things, or is she just clumsy?
She decided not to turn on the light as she was walking through the house in the dark and tripped over the dog and went just knees down on the ground.
That was an
Or at
opportunity
least-
for you to lie and turn your wife into a superhero. Good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
you
you know, it is what it is.
We had a bear crawl in through our bathroom window, and she went in there and bare knuckled it.
Yeah. She kicked it right in the head, and
After what
They
had been doing to
retreated,
the
but she
chickens,
broke her
I think
knee.
we'd believe that.
yeah, but no, I mean, it is what it is, but hopefully she'll be up and good to go here. And I think she's got 6 more weeks laid up. So we'll see. But yeah, it sucks. But she's a trooper. So it's good to go.
Right on. Speaking of bears, though, I saw a movie. Watched
Another one?
Yeah,
In the
I don't
same
believe
year?
it.
I watched another movie.
In
I
the same
don't
year?
believe it.
I watched Cocaine Bear.
Beautiful, true telling of a tragic story. It's like more sad than Titanic, honestly.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
We
no.
have Oscar-worthy performances, actual Oscar winners, amazing works of just film magnificence, and you choose Cocaine Bear
Yeah.
for your
And
last
that movie is
of the
awesome.
year.
You shut your mouth, you dirty
Next thing you know,
whore.
he's gonna be watching Raptor Pastor.
Oh, dude, that movie is dope.
Is that a real movie?
Yes.
It's,
Velocipastor.
it's a Christian pastor. He turns into a velociraptor.
Yeah, Velocipastor.
Is that what it's called? Velocipaster?
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe it was CJ, man. I saw that movie and I told one of my coworkers, I was like, that was a great movie recommendation. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, you totally recommended me to watch this movie like 2 weeks ago. And he's like, I have never seen that movie and I've never recommended it to you. So maybe it was CJ. Like, it was a few years ago when I watched it. So maybe it was him. That's funny.
It might have been me.
That's hilarious. No, that movie is so stupid. I love it.
Yes. Yes.
I might have
right.
to watch it again tonight.
I just wrote it down on the
That
same
and,
notebook that I write all the books down.
Kung Fury is also a good one.
That one doesn't have a catchy title.
Kung
You gotta have
Fury?
like a special moment to watch like really bad movies, right? Like you gotta choose when is you gotta have like the perfect time for it.
All right. All terrible movies aside, you guys ready to jump in?
I guess.
All right. All right. Before we get into tonight's main story, let's run through quick hits, our rapid roundup of the stories from the last week that deserve your attention, even if we don't have time to go deep on them. Let's go. A NASA photo that's been circulating online this week actually dates back to 2007. It's a panoramic image taken by the Spirit Rover in Mars Gusev crater. And if you look near the bottom left corner, there's a small rock formation that looks like a person with outstretched arms and one leg forward, walking across the landscape. But here's the kicker. It's gone viral before. British tabloids ran it back in 2015, and NASA's own spokesman at the time gave it a flat answer. Quote, it's a 2-inch piece of rock eroded by the wind, sitting just a few feet from the rover. According to him, distance and scale are doing all the work in the illusion, and it's not actually a giant figure in the distance. Rather, it's a tiny rock up close. The photo is making the rounds again this week as if it's brand new, and one Reddit comment summed up the reaction better than we could, simply stating, quote, not this again. Moving on. Geneticists at UC Berkeley have identified DNA in every living human being that traces back to 2 extinct human relatives nobody has ever found a fossil for. Using a new technique called TRACE, researchers mapped out genetic material from what they're calling a ghost lineage, which split off from our family tree about 800,000 years ago and interbred with modern humans in Africa before the migration out of the continent. And a second, even older, super archaic lineage from roughly 1.8 million years ago that mixed the Denisovans, who then passed a portion of that DNA on to us. About 2% of the modern human genome traces back to these two groups. Nobody has ever recovered a bone, a tooth, or a single physical trace of either population. The only reason we know they existed is that their code is still quietly sitting inside all of us. Moving on. Astronomers may have been searching for alien signals in the wrong part of the sky's radio spectrum for decades. New analysis of archived data from the ALMA telescope in Chile found that traditional SETI searches have swept narrow, low-frequency bands, a range widely known as the watering hole frequency range, while a largely unexplored range of higher frequencies has gone almost completely unchecked. Background noise from the galaxy itself drops significantly in the higher range, which means any genuine signal would actually stand out more clearly in those higher ranges than in the frequencies we've been listening to all along. Well, why is this important? If nobody's been checking the right frequencies, then it pretty much means that we have been looking in the wrong place, or at least a more difficult place, for decades. Moving on. Physicists in France and Germany just built something that's never existed before that they are calling a photonic time crystal, and it helps to understand it by starting with what a normal crystal actually is. Thinking of something like a honeycomb or a chain link fence. The pattern repeats over and over as you move across it in space. That is what a crystal is at the atomic level, a structure that repeats itself the same way no matter where you look within it. What these researchers built repeats itself too, but not in space. It repeats in time. Picture a strobe light with a perfectly regular pulse, except instead of just flashing on and off, this material is changing its own properties on a fixed repeating rhythm, over and over, incredibly fast. That repeating rhythm in time is what makes it a time crystal instead of a regular one. To actually build it, though, the team used material made of gold and a semiconductor, which they are using to control terahertz light waves, which is a type of light wave that sits just past what our eyes can see, and is already used in things like airport body scanners and some wireless data transmission. By making their material pulse in that repeating rhythm, they found they could reshape how that light behaves in trillionths of a second. Faster than light itself completes its own natural back and forth cycle. The result was published in the journal Nature, and researchers say this could eventually lead to new kinds of lasers, faster wireless and internet technology, and computers that compute using pulses of light instead of electricity, switching at speeds that nothing built today can match. Moving on. A new preprint from the main astronomical observatory of Ukraine's National Academy of Sciences claims high-speed telescope footage shows more than 20 unidentified objects moving near the moon. Some of the disc-shaped ones estimated at 25 to 40 kilometers wide, which is bigger than most cities on Earth. Well, the catch is, this is the same team behind a 2022 paper claiming a phantom UFO fleet over Kiev, a claim that got publicity discredited by Ukraine's own National Academy of Sciences and by Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb. This new paper hasn't been peer-reviewed yet, and given that track record, it deserves a healthy amount of skepticism before anyone runs with it. So, a Mars photo that's really just a 2-inch rock, DNA from 2 human species nobody's ever seen a bone from, SETI possibly listening to the wrong frequency this whole time, light reshaped in trillionths of a second, and a shaky claim about a UFO base on the moon. That's quick hits, boys. Thoughts? Tear it apart. Go ahead. Do it.
Sorry. I want to get kind of Bible thumpy for a second for the DNA one from the UC Berkeley. So in my worldview, obviously, right, people can tear this apart how they will, but there was 2 original humans, Adam and Eve, the first 2 created by God. I would say that if they were perfect before the fall of man, before genetic abnormalities and mutations and things like that, I would bet that their DNA would be basically different than ours, just in that there wouldn't be all this extra stuff. Like, there at the beginning of time, there wouldn't have been, extra toes, extra fingers, mental disabilities, things like that, any sort of abnormalities in noses and ears and everything like that. And I would be willing to bet that if it in my mind, UC Berkeley identifying DNA in every living human being that traces back to 2 extinct human relatives that no one's ever found a fossil for one, that would make sense for that worldview. But instead of saying that they were primate people, that they were just genetically different because of how much crap we've, brought into our systems over time. I mean, nowadays, I don't know how many let me say we live for another 1,000 years, what sort of genetic dissimilarities to us currently will the next generations have because of microplastics and things like that, and, pollution and all kinds of things in the water and the air and stuff like that? Would they be able to look at us now versus then, way in the future and be like, oh, they were genetically different because we have so much crap in our systems, more and more and more every single generation. So I would say that makes sense from a biblical perspective, but they're looking at it in the idea of like, oh, well, this is some sort of Neanderthal type, creature that, Homo sapiens arrived from, that we've never had a fossil record of because it's so long ago. But I would say on the other side, it's we have the DNA remnants of, the first people because we all came from them, but they were perfect, and we are clearly not, because everything that we have, I mean, down to our, our nose shapes, our eye shapes, our colors, our skin pigmentations, all that sort of stuff is based off of genetic adaptation over time in certain areas, as well as mutations in the genes because of, inbreeding and, population density and things like that. So that's where I would go with that. What do you think, CJ?
I'm a fan of evolution. I think we recently traced, I think they said something like Homo sapiens or a relative Homo sapiens back like 400,000 years now or something like that, or 200,000. I don't remember. It was a quick read for me sitting on the toilet. So, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm involved in so many different like conspiracy theories, and I study so many different religious perspectives. Like right now, I'm diving super deep into ancient Sumeria and like the Anunnaki and like all that stuff, because AI recently was able to translate cuneiform into a much deeper understanding than we previously had. And the biblical lineup in ancient Sumerian cuneiform is insane. And I think it's super duper interesting. So at this point, given what I've spent the last month and a half researching, I actually don't want to argue with you this time.
Interesting.
Yeah. Lay down.
Yeah, I have to pull up this picture of this 2-inch moon man rock thing. But that,
did you find it?
No, I haven't looked it up yet, but it is.
The stuff flying around the moon is definitely China mining H3, because we didn't get up there first, and they're more technologically advanced than us.
I mean, that could be.
I got to get Ingrid Dawn on. I know she listens, so remind me. I have to reach out to her and get that scheduled so we can talk about H3.
1 second. I'm pulling up this picture of this.
I like the people that listen just so they can comment and say we're stupid. I like those people. Those are my friends.
Hell yeah, mine too.
I wait for you to tell us about the comments. I don't read them.
Yeah.
But you do, and then you relay, and those are my favorite comments.
Actually, all positive comments lately, they've been pretty good. We had
CJ, did you see the picture we threw out on all the social medias making fun of that one comment?
Which one? You guys do that frequently.
No, we don't.
No.
Don't say that.
Oh my gosh. I gotta
maybe not on the social medias. I have most of my notifications from most groups turned off, so I don't really see a lot of stuff.
I'm gonna send it to the group chat.
No, I'm just gonna pull it up here.
You're gonna show it to the world?
Yeah.
That's crazy. You're crazy.
I think the only group, like I get notifications from 2 groups: the Reptile Sanctuary that I support and Butt Chuggers Anonymous.
Yeah. Well, duh. Of course. Yeah. That's why did I expect anything else?
Here. There you go.
Oh, yeah. 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 I saw that. That's pretty funny.
In it?
Yeah.
In it?
Yeah. The Flat Earth guy that like lost his mind on one of our videos.
Oh, gotta love them.
Should get, what's his name? David Weiss? Is that his name? We should get him on the show.
David Weiss, I heard. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to talk shit about him on air, because I've heard that he does not take too well to that kind of stuff. So, and I think we're already on his list of people he won't work with.
I've heard him on multiple podcasts, and all you have to do is like argue with him a little bit, and he just signs off.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've heard too. So I'd rather just not.
Sounds like a
I still think
butthole.
it might be fun. Like, let him get like an hour and a half in and then just piss him off.
Just take a dump right on his theories.
But what about all of the evidence?
Yeah. But what
Right.
about all of the evidence showing that you're full of crap? What about that?
What about that? All right, you guys ready to get into the briefing? Telling you it's
Sure.
gonna be a long episode, so we gotta move. All right, let's get into tonight's briefing because this one sets up exactly where we're headed next. For most of the year, UAP disclosure has moved through files, hearings, and forums. This week, according to multiple sources, it may be moving towards something bigger, a speech. Liberation Times, a UAP-focused outlet run by journalist Christopher Sharp, reported last month that a presidential speech confirming some UFOs are of non-human origin had already been drafted. This week, Sharp reported an update. The speech is now reportedly under active consideration, and it could be delivered before this November's midterm elections. If it isn't delivered by then, sources say the plans could be abandoned entirely. White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Stephen Miller, is reportedly leading the administration's work on the issue. Alongside that, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence has confirmed the creation of a new UAP governance board, an interagency body bringing together the military, law enforcement, the intelligence community, and civilian agencies to coordinate investigations and assist with the ongoing declassification process. ODNI has also confirmed that several groups of outside experts are advising that board. Only one of those groups has actually been named publicly, the UAP Science Advisory Council. The identities, expertise, and purpose of the other advisory groups remain completely undisclosed. Then on August 1st came what might be the clearest concrete signal yet. Representative Eric Burleson released a memorandum the administration had authorized his office to make public, signed the day before by Principal Deputy Director of National Intelligence Aaron Lucas. It implements the president's directive, releasing current and former government employees and contractors from a non-disclosure agreement when reporting UAP information to authorized officials. It was distributed to 18 senior intelligence, law enforcement, and military officials with 30 days to appoint designated representatives and inform their workforces. Its language goes further than just a policy update. It states plainly that any prior non-disclosure agreement preventing information from reaching the president or his designated representatives is no longer in force. But there is a caveat that matters here. The memo grants no actual immunity or legal protection for anyone punished for violating an NDA. It does remove the excuse for staying silent, but doesn't remove the risk of actually speaking. Sources close to the effort say advocates are now actively competing to shape what form any disclosure would take if the president decides to move forward, and that some private defense contractors and individuals connected to the CIA are resisting broader disclosure. Most people involved, from White House discussions to the unnamed advisory groups, have stayed silent publicly. One notable exception is Dr. Phil McGraw, the Dr. Phil, a personal friend of President Trump. In a podcast episode released July 30th, Dr. Phil asked listeners to imagine the government standing at a podium and declaring simply, "We are not alone." He called that potentially the biggest news in human history and warned that releasing it without preparation could let fear and misinformation fill the void. He then said something that moved this from a thought experiment into something more concrete. He said he's in active dialogue with President Trump and the administration about the issue, and that he's advised the White House that any disclosure would require careful pacing. Speaking with clinical psychologist Dr. Janice Vilhauer, Dr. Phil said this, quote, "This is upon us. It's happening right now," and described a personal conversation with Dr. John White, the chief executive of the American Medical Association, about how the organization's existing infrastructure might help prepare the public for what could follow disclosure. Jake, CJ, thoughts on a possible speech coming from President Trump that confirms non-human intelligence is here?
You really need that?
Yes.
I think you're kind of stupid if you think otherwise. Like,
What's that?
You calling me stupid?
Yes,
Okay.
to your face. No, like, so I was recently reading a thing because we all know how much I love aliens.
You love aliens. Yeah, you do. Yeah,
I don't. But
If you
I
love
love
them
you.
so much, why don't you
I
marry
went
'em?
and I started looking at alien stuff. And I was reading this thing that aliens aren't necessarily from outer space, that they're like time travelers from a post-apocalyptic situation where humans went underground, and that's why they developed like the skin the way they did, and like the huge eyes, like adapting to living under the earth. Anyway, either way, I think that in the event that that's the case, or extraterrestrials or whatever, like all the evidence that we've seen since forever, right? To think that we need the president to confirm it is insane.
I'm going to push back a little bit. I wouldn't say that you, Jake, or myself would need the president to confirm it. I think that humans in general.
The sheep. Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess so. Like if you're looking at the people who like, especially like who live in like our modern day and enjoy our modern day conveniences and basically just follow the crowd, because we see what happens. Like we have like these like divisions of various crowds, but they're in mass numbers, and they just kind of follow each other around and just repeat everything that each other says. It's insane. But yeah, I guess those people need it confirmed in that way. But like, we're going to go back to what I said initially, and they're stupid.
I refer to them as NPCs.
Yeah, that's valid. Except NPCs nowadays are more intelligent. They're imbued with AI and have their own thoughts.
My NPCs come from PlayStation 2. Okay.
Just like your taste in movies.
That's right. Cocaine bear. I'm a bear on cocaine.
My face hurts.
It hurts me too.
I mean, say what you want about me. I'm not buying it. Like, even if the president comes out and says it, I'm not going to immediately jump on and be like, oh, then it makes sense. That's exactly what it is. That they do exist just because he says it. Because
to be fair, Jake, if the president comes out and says they exist, it's probably a reason to believe they don't.
Yeah,
that is a very Jeff answer.
Dude, it would be, and it would be under any administration, because they just revealed through these tranches, we've been talking about it for, this is, for 4 tranches now up to this point, that they're finally admitting that they've been lying for 70, 80 years since World War II, when all the UFO stuff started getting pretty heavy and popular. Besides that, I mean, so they've been lying.
Something else they've lied about. Like,
why would it not make sense that then they would also lie about this too? It's just another batch of lies that we're going to find out later on and be like, oh, there actually was no non-human intelligence. There was no aliens or anything like that. We were lying again to cover up. We admitted there were UFOs. We admitted, there was, and we brought it up in the last tranche, we admitted that there were projects that were being worked on back in the 60s and 70s of donut-shaped, VTOL aircraft, that's vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, that looked just like UFOs. And we were covering it up by telling everyone that they were stupid for thinking that they saw, a UFO. Well, we were just lying about this too to cover up the next wave of projects. Like, I don't know why people wouldn't just get on that idea or that thought train of like, yeah, it's great we got them to admit that they were a bunch of, little liar pantses, but, pants on fire liars, but they could be doing it again.
They could be, but like, this isn't something they need to lie about. Not because it's not important to lie about this kind of thing, but just because, like, at the start of COVID, when they initially said aliens might be real, we're going to talk about it, all the way up till now, where they're just like dropping all this stuff where it's like, there's all this stuff and we don't know what it is, and aliens are probably real. And outside of the niche group that pays attention to podcasts like this, the rest of the, I mean, especially in the US, the rest of the world didn't give a shit. They were like, fuck aliens. Okay, whatever, dude. Like, I have stuff in World of Warcraft to get done. My Farmville isn't doing well. Like, my Pokemon Go, I don't have it filled out yet. Like, they don't care. So with the number of people who could not care less about this information, why lie about it?
I don't want to sound out of character, because I know that there's going to be...
But you should do it.
Well, I know that there's going to be... Well, I don't mean to. I know that there's going to be someone on there be like, well, you're always talking about angels and demons and stuff, which is true. I think the lie in this case is going to be that they're aliens, that they're lying and saying that to cover up that they're working with demonic entities and the dumbs all around the world to make technologies that shouldn't be accessible by human beings, just like they did in the days of Noah. Here where they are again doing it, in the last days. So I think that would be in my belief the lie. They would be like, oh yeah, they're aliens from this this galaxy or this star system or whatever it is, to cover up the fact that they're all a bunch of devil worshipping baby eaters and that they're actually wheeling and dealing with demonic forces. That would be what I would consider to be, if they came out and said that they're aliens, that would be like, okay, well, I don't believe that, unless they were completely straightforward with it and being like, they would have to say something like, oh, well, they're interdimensionals. And it's like, okay, so spiritual forces, things like that, right? Whatever it is. But yeah,
nobody's ever
I don't
said
know.
aliens and demons can't be interdimensional either.
Well, that's where I always go to, is that, people would say an interdimensional being. And it's like, okay, so on another dimensional plane that you probably can't see unless the veil is lifted in under certain circumstances.
It actually makes
sounds
heaven
like a
and
spiritual
hell-
being, right?
It makes heaven and hell make more sense, right? Like hell and heaven, and then we're here, and they're parallel to us, which is why we can't directly experience them until we make that spiritual step, like through death or whatever, right?
Sure.
That actually makes more sense. Out of all of your biblical arguments, Jake, I actually really like this one.
Well, but yeah, I mean, thank you. But this would be like, I have no problem with the idea that there are other human intelligences out there, that because those would fall into the realm of an other human intelligence. It's just if the speech is already written and it's going to be brought out, it would be what their definition is of other human intelligences. If they say we contacted an alien species and they've arrived here and blah blah blah, all this sort of stuff, and they make it sound as if it's like a body that's from just another planet, I'm going to call BS. But if they word it in such a way that sounds like it could be from another dimensional realm, that they contacted through CERN or something like that, then it's like, all right, that makes sense. That pans out, right?
Yeah.
I'm also not against the theory that we're a genetic experiment by aliens, and that's how we got here, and that we're not the first iteration of that experiment.
There are a lot of theories, gentlemen.
Yeah.
A lot. I will share a nice little fun fact. I learned a new word the other day. It is
Learned
You
it real
already
good.
forgot.
Remember it.
I learned a new word that I forgot. Hold on, let me look it up in the definition.
Did you know that there is an actual name for the shape of a donut? It's called a toroid. Yeah. And then if you ever get a chance, look up Bernoulli's lemniscate.
Can we get the
Nah, I'm
president
good.
to confirm that too? I think if we talked about the shape of a donut, more people would understand, and then cut to aliens halfway through that.
He could weave his tangent like he does. He likes to weave and be like, the reason why donuts have holes while he's gesticulating is because back in the 1790s,
They're the best holes.
they're the best holes because they allow the grease on the inside to cook the inside of the donut evenly so the outside doesn't get burned. They're the best holes. Be like 1790s, they came
What
up
was
with
that word again,
donuts. They
Jeremy?
were amazing, perfect donuts.
A
The best.
toroid.
Some people call him a toroid. I don't call him the toroid. But
No
we
one
can
that
ask
I know calls him a
Miranda.
toroid. I call him a donut 'cause they have holes.
My toroid is dilated to a perfect 2.5 inches.
I want you
That's
guys to know
right.
that's the first time I've ever attempted a Trump impression.
My
That was
toroid
very
is
first-
tight. Everyone says it. It's amazing. The perfect toroid. I can't do the voice, but I can get the gesticulations down and then the movements, the mannerisms.
You gotta get
that's
into the
funny.
dance.
Yeah.
Too good. Yeah, well, I'm not going to dive too deep into my thoughts on this. I do agree in partial that it's funny that they tried COVID, they tried murder hornets, and now they're trying aliens, is what it is. I say that to kind of be funny, but at the same time, I'm very excited. And I think it's a very important announcement, especially if it comes with some scientific data. I think it'd be really, really big. I think it would absolutely change life.
What was this this thing you talked about in here that the The memo grants no actual immunity or legal protection for anyone punished for violating an NDA. It does remove excuse for staying silent, but it doesn't remove the risk of speaking. Is that what we talked about a couple episodes back where they were trying to push for...
Yes, so it is and it isn't. Okay, this is Burleson's specific memorandum for this, right? So last time we talked, it had passed the House. It was going to the Senate to grant amnesty to anybody under NDA for anything regarding UFOs. So one thing that wasn't clear, right, and which Eric Burleson made clear in his memorandum, is that, hey, this is all nice and stuff, but there is no wording in here that actually grants anybody safety. There's no safety in this. We can say, hey, yeah, you're good to go, but there's no verbiage in there that says how you're safe now. The verbiage that is used specifically doesn't take away the power of punishment that comes with breaking a general NDA. So it has wording that gives the perception that people can come forward, but it doesn't actually protect them. So it honestly, in all sense, it feels like a trap, right? It feels like that's as a gist, right? Or the gist of it is that it seems more like a trap than anything. And Burleson is trying to get that fixed. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Anyways, you guys ready to go to deep dive?
Yeah.
All right. Jake, you can now bring up the tranches. By the way, I have learned that the proper pronunciation is tranche.
I'm going to keep saying tranche.
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
That's the word I learned to mispronounce this week.
Yeah.
Tranche.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it tranche too.
I sound kind of like a douchebag, I think, when I say tranche.
Well, I learned tranche from a guy who doesn't read well, and he only learned that word from reading. So I'm going to keep calling it that.
Is it me?
Jake.
Oh, yes.
All right, everybody, pucker up your toroids.
That was like a joke you used to crack like 150 episodes ago. It was like, I'm not a strong reader, but here we go.
Well, no, I barely know how. Like, I know my numbers though, so that's why I have the job I do. That's probably more
important.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Get your bills paid.
Let's deep dive. The Pentagon has officially released the 5th batch of files under pursuit. The government's ongoing UFO disclosure program, 41 new records this time, and there's a detail in the sourcing that's easy to miss but highly significant. These files came from the Pentagon, the FBI, the CIA, the State Department, and for the first time since this whole program started back in May, the executive office of the president itself is now showing up as a named source in a UFO document release. The records in this drop span from 1950 all the way back to earlier this year. So let's walk through the ones that I have been able to dissect with such little time before we go through it together with Jake and CJ. The one everyone's going to be talking about is an FBI interview with a former military pilot who was stationed near Bagram, Afghanistan back in 2002. He described watching an enormous triangular object pass overhead, so large that it blocked out the stars as it moved across the sky. And get this, a second pilot reportedly witnessed the exact same event independently. These are two trained military pilots describing the same object at the same time in the same airspace, but in different locations with different points of view while independently reporting to separate entities. Then there's the Gulf of Oman case from September of 2021. A U.S. Special Operations AC-130 gunship crew was in the middle of a live fire exercise when they picked up numerous unidentified objects on infrared. The report describes unusual cold signatures, meaning the object showed up as colder than their surroundings on thermal sensors, and they were moving in coordinated formations. Multiple videos of this incident are part of today's release. So this isn't just a written account. We can actually go look at the sensor footage ourselves, which we will do very shortly. And then the release moves into more recent territory. There's a 2025 video from a military aircraft flying over a populated area in the Middle East, showing an object moving rapidly through the frame. And there's infrared footage from the western United States from earlier this year, 2026, showing two unidentified objects moving through the sky together. Now that last one is barely months old, meaning that we are getting fresh data and reports from very recent times, not just a grab bag of vintage records from the Cold War. The release also includes a batch of FBI witness interviews paired with digital and artistic renderings meant to illustrate what people describe seeing when no actual photo or video exists. The Pursue website is prominently featuring several of these right now, and a lot of them depict the same shape, large, triangular objects, alongside unexplained lights and other aerial phenomenon that witnesses couldn't otherwise identify. This is the 5th release since the program launch, following drops on May 8th, May 22nd, June 12th, and July 10th. And officials are already saying this isn't the end of it. There's a lot more sitting in agency archives still being reviewed, and more releases are expected on a rolling basis going forward. So, Jake, CJ, 2 pilots watching the same triangle block out the stars over Afghanistan, a gunship crew tracking formations on infrared during a live mission, and footage from earlier this year that's still unexplained. What's standing out to you the most out of everything in this new release?
It's just more of the same shit.
It is not, sir. You know what? Fuck you.
Time, place, position, good sir. I mean, that just looks like a redacted photo.
No,
Look at the red sky. Goodbye to
that-
half of it.
That is a generated image. I went over that specifically in the script about how some of these are artistic renditions of what people would have reported seeing. That one is from the one in not Afghanistan. That's the one where the gentleman reported it blocking out the stars, and then there was a pilot in the air that also saw it.
So
from
we
a
just
different-
have
completely
word of
different
mouth
point of view.
stories. Okay.
On
No
that
actual
one, we do. On that one, we do. But there is some pretty intense
That looks like
video.
AI.
That's FLIR, my friend.
No, this is the artist rendition for sure.
I was
Is
going
it?
to say that looks
There's
like
2 people right here. There's
Hold
2,
on.
and then a
Hold-
fence.
Hold on, let me make this bigger.
Because I would say I have a FLIR and it doesn't take photos like that.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Okay, I didn't see that one.
Can't even get his lies straight. Look at him.
Right.
Can't
You
even
know?
lie, right?
God damn it.
Let me change the layout here. Let's see if we can't get this.
I mean, this
better.
just looks like people seeing the TR-3B. That's all that is.
That's
We've been
another
talking about that
artist
for
rendition. That's not an actual photo.
Five-
either.
5 years now. Well, yeah,
Find-
obviously, but
Find the videos.
Yeah, find some actual evidence.
Well,
like
you did the whole, Jake, CJ, what do you guys think about this? But we haven't
Yeah.
seen any of the things yet. I don't know what
All
to
we've
think
seen
Well,
about.
then
so
let's
far,
see
like-
the things. Let's
all
see
we've
the
seen so
things.
far is evidence that space is fake because they need artist renditions. So
Let's see the things.
Well, then, okay, so this is also an artistic interpretation.
yeah, we haven't seen anything yet. Like
Right. What do you want me to pull up, Jeremy? You got any, direct numbers, or just want me to scroll through these?
Just keep scrolling.
just keep scrolling, just keep scrolling.
Ghost rockets. Ooh. Oh, look at that.
Ghost
Fancy.
rockets is from early World War II.
They ripped that cover straight out of Fallout.
Mm.
Love it.
I got a crazy sore throat. Well, I'm gonna mute myself so I don't cough into the mic.
Here, hand me the screen share.
He just evicted me. He didn't even tell me to pull anything up, and he's just like, "No, get out of here."
Get out
Oh,
of here.
looks like we might get some
Get-
aircraft footage finally.
So this one, I'm actually not a fan of. There seems to be nothing in the background whatsoever. You do see these vague waves. It kind of looks like it's over the ocean. But other than that, it looks like they just can't catch it. Like the FLIR system's having trouble locking onto it. I don't like this video. I wanted to bring this one up.
It's a dot zipping around on the screen. This is
Don't worry, CJ. We'll find something cool. I promise. Okay, buddy? Relax.
heard this story before. Maybe you should be giving the presidential addresses. Oh, look, it's a black dot instead of a white one this time.
Yeah, there was a few in here that were pretty dumb. You know what? Let's just skip that one.
A
Let's
fucking fly gets on their fucking FLIR system. Oh shit!
that's not a good one. Let's see. All right, so we got a lot of
Ooh,
those.
is that one gonna have a black and a white dot together?
Yeah, interracial dots.
Okay.
If the aliens can get along, we have no excuse.
I don't think they can get along.
Oh, I mean, look, they haven't wiped us out
There's
yet.
another dot. All right. Am I just clicking on the
No,
same video?
hold on. Like with these dot ones, right? Serious question time. What are the chances that that's some jackass with a really good laser?
I don't think so.
Like a
Did you see
heat
that?
generating
Did you see
laser,
it just
like
disappear?
a blue laser. Like they're
Did you see
nailing
it?
like
Watch.
the FLIR
Watch.
lens with
Watch.
a blue laser.
Watch.
Like,
And it's gone.
well, yeah, we watched the black dot disappear. All right, but like,
Man, you're a dick.
I'm just saying, like, watch how it moves. I can mimic that movement with a laser pointer, no problem. And if we had a laser that had the ability to generate enough heat that it would be picked up on the lens of a FLIR, what are the chances that that's a laser?
So whatever this is, it is hot. It is in black hot. I don't believe that this is a laser, though. You saw those little X's pop up on the screen? That is the FLIR's tracking system, literally tracking it. And that's not an effect that you would get from somebody panning a camera. So the other black dots that we were watching, we did not have this tracking system. This is tracking. This camera was
Right, I see the
stationary.
X tracking it. If you were to shine a laser at the lens of the FLIR, would it activate that tracking system? Like, is this something we know? Like, is that a question we can answer?
No, I don't think that's a question I can answer. No,
Because
we're
I'm
getting
just,
a lot of
as far as I'm
shitty
concerned,
brain
like
footage.
unless my questions are answered,
Where
I have
are
every
they?
reason to disbelieve the validity of any of that. It's a
There
dot.
was
I can
some
make a
good
dot
stuff.
with a laser pointer. Like, I need to know exactly like how these work. Like what
Second
can
page
you,
is pretty good.
like what can you do?
Is it?
Like if all we're going to be looking at is a
Mhm.
dot, I need to know exactly how these cameras interact
Look
with
up
things like laser
the
pointers
top
before
one
I can like get
on the second
excited
page.
on whether or not it's like actual evidence or something. You know what I mean?
Okay, this is one of the ones that I watched. Check this thing out.
What is that? The moon? What's going on here? Is that a desert?
Yeah, that's over Afghanistan. So
Okay.
this is in white hot. Whatever this object is cold. Obviously, it's getting picked up by the tracking system. It does seem to be reflecting. First thoughts would be sunlight.
Hold on, Jeremy. I can count every pebble on the side of that mountain. Why can't I get any detail on the dot?
Well, if you're familiar with Hal Puthoff's theory about gravitational manipulation and familiar with the electromagnetic spectrum and how compressed light waves can cause dilution or distortion, maybe you would know. Maybe you should just educate yourself.
Also donuts.
CJ.
So there's that.
Yeah, donuts.
Hold on.
Anyways, I want to bring that
alright.
back up. I want to bring that one back up. Why is it not? I'm frozen.
top
I
one.
need you to actually explain to me why that camera is so good that I can count every grain of sand in that desert, but I can't see the fucking rear view mirrors on the black dot. What is going on with that?
It has to deal. Okay, so there is a theory by Hal Puthoff that says, not that it says, he claims that one of the best explanations for UFOs, the lighting systems on UFOs, we've talked about this before, that the external lighting on UFOs is most likely gravitational manipulation devices by influencing the electromagnetic spectrum on the ultraviolet side of the spectrum. You can get a distortion of gravitational manipulation in a bubble around a craft. Now, if you remember, what was it? Go Fast, I think it was. Was it Go Fast?
Can I just clarify something real quick before you go forward? He's saying that essentially they're headlights. Instead of using LEDs or something, they're using gravitational devices. Is that what you really just said?
Yeah.
Why?
So this right here.
If you had told me that their propulsion system was a gravitational device and that's how they take off and they move so fast, but their fucking headlights are gravitate. That doesn't even make sense.
No,
dude.
Name okay, first of all,
you said the lighting systems.
Yes. Okay, listen. All right. So one of the biggest questions in UFOs is, why do UFOs have lights? Okay, not necessarily headlights. They're not forward facing. A lot of them are downward facing. But one strange thing about UFO lights is that they're evenly spaced out. Most accounts are spaced out. The Phoenix lights. Have you seen the pictures of the Phoenix lights before? Quick, keep yawning. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I've seen.
Oh, you weren't incorrect, Jeremy. The first 5 on page 1 are literally the exact same video.
Yeah, it looks like it was. Anyways, so Dr. Hal Puthoff, the original leader of Project Stargate, right? This guy came from Stanford Institution of Science or whatever. He listed 5 observables of UFOs that are difficult to believe. Okay. I'll try to list them all off, but without having it in front of me, I'm going to butcher this. Okay. One of them is multi-domain travel, right? So going from the ocean to the air to space without having any effect to its surrounding whatsoever. No heat source, no exhaust, the ability to make a 90-degree turn or stop suddenly, moving at 12 plus Gs. What was the last one? There's one more. I can't think of it. I'll come back to it. But literally, you cannot answer the question of how any of this works, even though we have observed this. He lists it as the 5 observables that are difficult to explain, impossible to explain. Okay. We cannot explain how these things move the way they do. And we definitely,
I understand that.
Right. So he says that the only way that you can answer all 5 of the observables is by saying that they manipulate gravity. They have to. That's the only way with the physics that we know that we can make any of that true. If we can visually, if we can visually see it happening, right? So, viewing something to a lot of people is believing. If we can see it happening, but we can't explain it, that's a question. Okay. Another phenomenon of UFOs are lights. Lights in UFOs are synonymous, whether it's an orb, a light in the center of a flying disc, 2 lights on each end of a cigar-shaped craft, lights on the tips of each tip of a triangle-shaped craft, a boomerang-shaped craft like the one in the Phoenix lights, right?
I mean, dude, every vehicle has lights. It makes sense.
No,
you need to see shit.
Stop. You're answering this from a human point of view, a very modern human point of view. Okay. Why would lights be facing downwards? Why would
because they're in the sky and they need to see shit on the ground.
Why? They're
observing things.
None of the lights even hit the fucking ground. They're just lights. There's no FAA regulated lights. They're not green, blue, flashing directional lights. They're not smack lights. They're not anti-collision. What I'm saying is that you're answering the question with a human answer. Okay, what you need to do is say, what is a realistic answer for this? Why are they spaced out equally? Well, Hal Puthoff proposes that they utilize these lights. They're not lights. We perceive them as lights. They are what we see from the gravitational manipulation generator. Okay, how would we see that? If you're familiar with the electromagnetic spectrum and how frequency waves or sine waves compress towards the blue side and expand towards the red side, right? Ultraviolet and infrared, that something that compressed so densely, if they can manipulate gravitational waves, if they can condense so densely, it would show up as any color that they wanted to. Mostly white. It would be the negative of light. Okay, any color. The color that represents missing color is white.
So then why would it appear to our eyes as light and not to the lens of a camera?
Okay, lenses of cameras have picked them up though. They absolutely have. Let me show you the Phoenix lights.
And if it was manipulating gravity, wouldn't it then behave more like a black hole where it condenses the light into a nothingness? And then like if it's going forward, it would condense it into a nothingness. And if it was going backwards, we would then see the light. Like, wouldn't that be kind of how it worked then?
Okay, so the Doppler effect would come into effect here. True. Okay. The Doppler effect, the compression of light waves on the front end of the craft and the expansion of light waves on the back end of a craft, giving you blue shift, red shift, would technically come into play.
Right. And those little dots change directions erratically in any which way they want to, and we don't see a change in lighting.
Yeah. Well, we don't know how gravitational manipulation affects red shift, blue shift. We don't understand that. We have no idea. We know that some weird shit happens when you look at the event horizon of a black hole and that red shift and blue shift doesn't necessarily apply to black holes because of the extreme density of black holes, right? The gravitational density of black holes literally eliminates the redshift blue shift effect. Are you familiar with redshift blue shift? Okay. So if they are manipulating a bubble around them, they would have to have some sort of generator on it. They would have to. And depending on the shape or size of the craft, which we see in a lot of different crafts, right? Boomerang, triangle, cigar, sphere, disc, even orb itself, right? It seems that they have lighting at an equal distance from each other that is standardized. And Hal Puthoff theorizes that these lights represent the generation of gravitational manipulation. And in order to cover the entire craft, they have to be equally spaced out in order to have the entire craft encased in the gravitational bubble.
And I know that we don't understand completely how gravity works. We have fundamental understanding of it. We don't actually completely understand how gravity works.
Correct.
But in that situation, instead of having one generator pushing while another pulls, which would cause your Doppler effect that you mentioned before, that means instantaneously these generators would have to either push or pull, all of them, push or pull in a single direction in order to change directions that fast. We would, if that's the case, wouldn't the things inside those crafts get ripped apart if that's how that was working with the instantaneous shifts in gravity? Because it's gravity, right? You can't protect the interior. Like if the thing on the bottom, right, shifts as well as the things on the top, shifts immediately in another direction to either push or pull simultaneously, rather than one pushes, one pulls, right? To keep the things inside safe. That gravity shift, wouldn't that destroy whatever was inside of it or anything that's organic inside of it?
No, not if it's trapped inside of a bubble that has its own gravitational field and it's negating all manipulation by outside matter. They'd be perfectly safe. So here, let me show you this right here. So I looked up Hal Puthoff's 5 observables. The 5 observables were popularized by former Pentagon official Luis Elizondo and used within the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program to categorize flight and performance characteristics of unidentified anomalous phenomenon. Physicist Dr. Hal Puthoff helped frame these traits theoretically, suggesting they can all be explained by a single metric engineering mechanism like a localized space-time warp bubble. The 5 observables: instantaneous acceleration, changing speed from 0 to extreme velocity almost instantly, generating g-forces that would destroy conventional craft or biological pilots. Hypersonic velocity without signatures, traveling at speeds exceeding Mach 5 without producing a thermal heat, bloom, wake, or sonic boom. Low observability or cloaking, remaining hidden or flickering unpredictably across radar and optical sensors while still physically present. Transmedium travel, moving effortlessly and without loss of performance between different environments such as space, the atmosphere, and underwater. And then positive lift and anti-gravity, hovering or maneuvering without any visible means of aerodynamic lift, wings, or exhaust propulsion. Puthoff modeled how these distinct characteristics are not separate propulsion methods, but the manifest effects of localized space-time metric engineering. This physics-based approach attempts to account for how a single craft could bypass the fluid resistance in both air and water simultaneously. His answer to how all 5 of these get answered is by gravitational manipulation, or as this AI overview puts it, localized space-time warp bubble.
Wouldn't also the idea of they're not actually moving, but they're folding space-time around them and re-expanding it?
Well, you have to do something that works within Einstein's theory of general relativity and specific relativity.
That's not necessarily true. There could be aspects of physics we're not familiar with or comprehend.
Absolutely, 100%. But even as we unfold new physics and learn new physics, we can explain it with general or special relativity. The only time that goes away that we've discovered recently is on the quantum level.
I was just about to say, like,
goes completely out the window.
Theory of a quantum engine that it folds instead of propulsion, it folds space-time.
And how do you
so
think
you're not actually moving, you're just instantly transferring into.
I think if you really sit there and think about it, CJ, I think you're answering the question with the exact same answer I just gave you.
Well, I don't think that's the same thing as manipulating gravity. Like if you manipulate gravity, it will either push or pull you in a direction.
I think if you
fold
travel
space time, that's different than manipulating gravity. You're folding space time.
I think that what you're talking about would work more on a very macro level, right? Traveling vast distances between space, like from one galaxy to another. But when you're talking about going 20 miles over ocean, I don't think that would be sufficient.
I don't know about that.
I do.
You could shrink it down, like the ability, you would be able to shrink it down and control it. If you could fold the whole galaxy at one time,
utilizing known physics, how can we make that happen?
You couldn't. You would have to find new physics, which is what quantum physics does all the time.
But quantum is stuck in the quantum level.
To us, it's stuck in the quantum level. It might not be to them.
Okay, you asked about lighting. I gave you an answer on lighting.
Okay.
Right? So, anyways, going back to the video.
I mean, it's an answer. I'm just not buying it. I don't know if you picked up on that.
No, I get it. I understand. I mean, if you...
I wouldn't buy that wholesale.
I feel like if you put enough time and effort into understanding it, I think you would. I do. I think it's a lot of it is very, very... I wouldn't say it's perfectly bulletproof, but it's really good. Anyways, so this is the Go Fast video that we talked about 4 years ago, right? But this is also one of the best evidences for how Puthoff's theory on the 5 observables. Everything that he talks about can be seen in this video. Going to this.
On another note, some of these documents are so redacted, they might as well have not even put them in. It's crazy.
Yeah, some of them are pretty stupid. But anyways, I want to show you this video because I want to point something out. If you look at the terrain around it, you can kind of pick up that there is where the light source is coming from. Like this, I don't know, is my mouse showing up? See the light source is aiming at the front end, the face of these mountains. Where's the light source reflecting off of whatever this is?
Looks like it's on the top.
Yeah, it does not match. I thought that was very interesting when I first saw this, was that... And I don't think anybody's talking about that. But I also haven't done a lot of research into what other people are seeing. So we may be bringing up new points compared to what the mass talking heads are talking about. But like in this, you see all of this is all the shadows are on the back ends of these cliffs or on the terrain, but the lighting is on the front end. You're not seeing that same consistency on whatever this is. You're also seeing this in white hot. So as the sun is being shown on this is a daytime video, by the way, which is pretty impressive. We didn't get a lot of these in a lot of the tranches. But you see the heat signatures from the front facing of all of the terrain here. This is black. That's a cold object.
Doesn't that support your gravitational thing you just went on about?
Yep, it does. Except for that little flicker of light up there.
So pixelated. It almost seems like this is just like
they redacted this. It does look like they redacted this.
It looks like they just added that into the video, and they're like, "Oh, look, it's a ship."
That's what I'm saying. That shit all looks fake.
You look fake.
That's fair.
In a couple days, when he starts peeling, it's going to look like a reptilian.
Yeah, he is.
Maybe I am. You don't know.
Whoop. There goes.
I do have a proclivity to reptiles. I have 14 of them.
Whatever that is, it's hot.
And it's going fast.
And it's going fast.
Going crazy fast.
Around. I like this video because you do have reference to size. You have reference to, this is actually moving fast. You can see how fast the ship was moving in respect to the water. And then by taking that information and applying it to this, you can see that this thing is zooming.
Mm-hmm.
Zooming, Jake.
It's a Kia.
Yeah, zoom. Look at her go.
That's the alien teenager who just got his license. He's out for a joyride.
Hell yeah.
Shoot, I would be.
If y'all gave me
you put me in something that can do that, we're going nuts.
If y'all gave me a UFO, yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd fit in one, but yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you saw it go past the ship, that thing was at least the size of a Jetta.
Why does it keep freezing?
I don't really fit in a Jetta. It's kind of small.
Don't really fit.
6'2" ass can fit in a Jetta. You can fit in a Jetta.
I have a Jetta in my garage right now. I'm telling you right now that I barely fit.
He actually does.
I'm about to get rid of it on Monday, too.
I don't know what the fuck we're looking at here.
2 dots and a shaky camera, or someone's recording it with a potato.
Yeah, I'm not. Yes, Western United States.
These are all taken by the same people who get the blurry Bigfoot photos.
That's because Bigfoot's blurry. You didn't know that? Gosh.
I think I saw that meme when you put it in the chat.
That thing.
Why is this shit blue?
It's just an artifact.
They're going through the different camera modes.
Yeah, so this is
The
in
FLIR
white.
has a FLIR has a lot more than just white hot and black hot. And they've got a lot of different modes.
So
I mean, my FLIR has like a rainbow mode. It has white and black, and you can reverse them. It also does.
Yeah, but these are FLIRs on the front of military aircraft where you could zoom into one of those houses down there and watch someone pick their nose with it and then send a missile right into their living room.
I understand that. I'm just saying, like, I know it has different modes. I've just never seen just a blue like Smurf mode. I've never seen that.
Look at this, man. Like, this is whatever this object is. It's cold. Like, how do you get that? I
didn't we just talk about several episodes ago at this point how if we were using a quantum whatever, we would need to make it extra cold to function properly?
Oh yeah, the quantum computing. Yes.
Yeah. So
they require it to be extremely cold.
I mean, wouldn't if say these ships are utilizing quantum computers and quantum engines in order to make them function correctly, wouldn't they need to be super duper cold?
It seems like one of the first things you would try to fix technologically. That's a red and green light. that looks like directional lighting.
Yeah, I saw that one. I was like, oh great.
Yeah. This doesn't help very much.
That's an airplane.
Yeah, that's not a very good one. Dude, did it again. Why? Why, Jake?
Someone took their puddle jumper out for a flight and got caught on camera. UAP.
UAP. Heck yeah.
This is the one we just watched. I think this is either the last one or the one we just watched is the last one. That's it. That's all the videos. That is all of them. That Western United States one is trash.
Yeah, it's not great.
This one I thought was really cool. This was cool. Just seeing it kind of, zooming.
That was the only cool one.
No, I think that there was 2 really cool ones. There was the one that showed up in blue. What's this? Did we watch this?
I watched it. I didn't see anything.
Oh, there it goes.
I mean, besides that, well, obviously, but I didn't see anything like crazy. It was just kind of zipped right through. It would have been cool if the camera had tracked it. I want to say, versus it just go by.
Yeah, I think this is the one this is the one from the AC-130.
I want to see something more than a dot run across the screen.
Well, you did see more, but you were just talking a bunch of crap about it. See,
yeah, you were talking all kinds of shit.
Can't freaking give you
anything.
It was
a dot. It wasn't.
What a fucking asshole.
Maybe they're just dots. Why does it have to be something crazy? Maybe it is what it is. It's just a dot. It's a dot with no. It's just basically a ball. It's just a sphere. No discernible edges or
light
lights or anything.
They're redacting angels. That's what it is. It's an angel.
I think this is one of the more interesting ones right here.
That one definitely is. Well, it's the one that has the most context to it, where it's like you can see it going over the mountains and everything.
I didn't even see that they had these fires or exhaust from some sort of manufacturing towers going on right here. See these 2? That super confirms. That super confirms that whatever it is, it's fucking ice cold.
Yep.
Unless it's redacted, like you guys said previously.
This one does look like it could potentially be redacted, and I think that the weird thing about it is that the shine is on the wrong side. That's and yeah, you guys are right. It does look very pixelated. It looks like whatever they tried to redact it.
It looks fake.
I don't think it looks fake. I think it looks covered up. I think you guys are right about that. I think it does look like it's censored.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it looks. I mean, it looks fake because it's redacted or whatever. Like, why redact it? Why? So we can't see George Jetson zipping around his little buggy? Like, what the fuck?
It's Bigfoot. Bigfoot's riding it, and they're like, "Nope."
That's why we never find the motherfucker, because we're looking on the ground for them. They're up in the damn sky.
Big feet don't walk. Big feet fly.
Apparently, they're on vacation and shit. We never find their bodies because they die in outer space and get ejected.
I think you guys are right. I think that is redacted. I was watching this video on my phone, so it didn't. I couldn't really pick up on how blocky that was. But man, I think you guys are right.
I think they're trying to distract a whole lot of people from something they don't want us paying attention to with false videos of bullshit aliens.
Well, see, that's where I get into it. It's just like where I was talking about in the last little thing that we had, where I'm just like, wouldn't be surprised if they just lied and said, "Oh yeah, we talking to aliens from another galaxy or star system," but in reality, they're showing us videos of like spiritual beings flying about that they're in contact with, and they're just like, "Oh no, it's not that. It's aliens! Yay, aliens! We're not alone."
I mean, we've acknowledged on several occasions, and like even I've acknowledged in other programs and stuff, that the government deals with the devil, for lack of a better term. Right? Like
Sure.
we know we know that they dabble in dark forces. We know that they're trying, if not already successfully have done, once again, for lack of a better term, demonic shit. Right? You know what? I'm officially on Jake's side. That's it. Let it be said now. I'm on Jake's side now.
Welcome.
They're distracting us because they don't want us to know that they're fucking dancing with the devil.
I don't like how much
drinking
rendering.
babies' blood and stuff and offering things to Moloch, and this is all bad news. Giving us AI fucking pictures.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. They have this shitty rendering.
Well, this is what people said they saw. Like, okay, well, if you don't have a fucking photo, then don't.
I mean, I kind of get it. There's people that want to see things.
Bro,
and
little kids tell you they saw. You have like 26 kids. How many times has one of them come to you and said they seen some shit they didn't see?
Never.
Oh, yeah, all right. No one ever once said there was a monster under their bed or in their closet or anything like that. Not once.
Not once.
Your kids aren't real either. They're AI generated.
No. My kids know that if there is a monster underneath their bed, they're going on and underneath it with it. Because we hunt monsters.
That violates rule number 1.
No, we hunt monsters in this house. It's not rule number 1. It's the rule, sir.
Jeremy Sosha is a fucking pen name for Jeremy Winchester. All right.
They are the monsters under the bed over at Sosha's house. They don't go to therapy, they cause it.
All right, you guys ready to close this up?
Yeah, I was ready.
Yeah, unfortunately, this tranche in it seems like
in it.
You gotta hold your pinky out, Jake, when you're doing it.
This tranche. Here, let me hold my sweet tea. Tranche. Yeah. It definitely seems like it's way more document focused. But even that, the documents were heavily redacted. There's only a few they were kind of opened up. I mean, but as far as the videos and the images were just nothing burgers. I mean, all the images were just, artist renditions of triangle-shaped UFOs.
I want you guys to know that they definitely, like in the other tranches that they did.
Tranche.
They didn't try to feed us any AI pictures in those that I recall. We went through quite a few of them. And all of a sudden now, shitloads of them are AI?
There was 1 or 2 in the last one.
So they trickled it in with 1 or 2, and then they just hit us with just straight AI for the first, 6, 7 files?
Photo-wise, yeah.
Well,
okay, so this one's bullshit.
On one hand,
I wouldn't say it's fully
you could say that. On the other hand, it definitely seems like they are trying to get out as much as they can. They're releasing as much as they can, regardless of what
they
people
ran out of
think
ideas
about
and they're
it.
releasing fake shit now.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how much more stuff that they have. I mean, as far as like things that they are willing to release, where, I mean, if they keep pushing the narrative that, we're in contact with alien beings, or if that's what it's going to be, when are we going to start seeing videos of like, oh, here's the Nordics inside of, the Oval Office, and here's the Greys when they landed on the White House lawn that no one was able to see, or whatever.
It's all just to, we talked about macrocosm, microcosm earlier, with this shit being like artist rendition. Oh, it's because this is what people described they saw. I want you guys to know that in my hometown, it was a massive new. Now we all know the eastern mountain lion, eastern cougar, whatever, extinct, right? We know that.
Prove it.
We know that. I don't know that.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, it was a massive news story in my hometown that people were seeing a cougar behind the office, behind their works, in a field behind their workspace. It made the news. It was a humongous thing, okay? It turned out to be a huge fucking tabby cat. It was like a 15-pound house cat, and people were crying that it was a cougar, and it was not one or two people. It was an entire office building that saw this fucking mountain.
I was waiting for him to say it was a 53-year-old bored housewife.
It could have been.
So it's
No, it was-
more probable that there was something there than the ghetto leprechaun from like 15 years ago.
Right. Right.
You remember that?
Yeah. Well, anyways, so we have artist renditions and AI generated images of things people claimed they saw. It's bullshit. It was a fucking house cat instead of a mountain lion. Like, you know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Don't
It makes
feed us
sense.
AI generated images and tell us that you showed us something. That's insane.
Yeah. You should slap him in the donut.
With a dildo, a donut shaped dildo.
Yeah. CJ
It
said
would
he's
just
gonna
have to be a regular
dilate that
dildo. It wouldn't
donut.
have to be donut shaped because that wouldn't work out.
All right, let me do the outro.
Okay.
That's it for tonight's episode. In Quick Hits, we covered a decade-old Mars photo going viral again as a 2-inch rock mistaken for a walking man. DNA in every living human from 2 extinct species nobody's ever found a fossil for. SETI possibly checking the wrong part of the radio spectrum this whole time. The world's first photonic time crystal in a shaky new UFO claim near the moon from a team with a track record of getting it wrong. In our briefing, we covered the latest reporting on a possible presidential UAP disclosure speech, a governance board full of mostly unnamed advisors, an NDA memo that removes the excuse for silence without removing the risk of speaking, and Dr. Phil's active role in discussing how the country might prepare for what comes next. And for the rest of the tonight, we went deep on the 5th Pursue tranche. 41 new files, including the first ever records sourced from the executive office of the president, obviously AI generated. 2 pilots independently describing a massive triangle over Afghanistan in 2002, an AC-130 crew tracking coordinated formations on infrared over the Gulf of Oman, and brand new footage from right here in the United States this year. One quick last minute reminder, if you're in the Menominee area, come see me at Dragon Tail Books this Friday from 4 to 8 p.m. I'll be there signing copies of my book, UF Elmwood. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a rating and review and find us on infiniterabbithole.com, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. We're back next week, and until then, keep your eyes open, keep asking questions, and remember, the truth is out there. You just have to know where to look. I'm Jeremy Sosha, and we'll see you at the next fork in the path of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Don't drink the Flavor Aid.